Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday evening. You know what that means. It's time for Region Weather Live. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. We've got another system, as we've dealt with all these systems over the last week, and yet another one's moving in tomorrow. That will bring some rain around Northwest Indiana, and then we deal with some leftover behind that. We've got your Mother's Day weekend to plan out, and then we finally get to talk some good news on the show. I'm pretty happy about that. We've got some heat on our way. I think a lot of people are going to be complaining about how warm it gets around here. I've got the latest numbers, the latest hot off the press model run. We'll share it with you coming up on this Wednesday evening edition of Region Weather Live. And happy Wednesday evening to you, everybody. Region weather meteorologist Matt Wintz. Hello, Don. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Hope you're having a good evening. Abigail, not ready for the crazy heat. She says, hi, Mary. Hi, Derek. He says, bring on the heat. So I see we're split here. Jeff's home with the flu. Jeff, I hope you got your t-shirt in the mail. I hope that helps. You can bundle up with that. And man, I hope you get better there, buddy. That's not fun. Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining us here on our Facebook page. All right, you see our sponsors there in the logo. We've got Tiger Plumbing. We've talked about them a lot because they're just a wonderful company. I've gotten 2 more messages this week of people that have used them for their plumbing needs in Northwest Indiana, and they say 5-star reviews all the way. Family-owned business. It's tigerplumbing.net. They come out for free, which just blows my mind that with gas prices nowadays, they'll do that. But they'll come analyze the problem for free, give you a free quote, and they'll go from there. They do great work, and you can ask our community here in Region Weather, tigerplumbing.net for that. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, we want to thank them for being a sponsor as well. There are surprisingly a lot of costs, subscription fees, all that stuff associated with this. They keep this free for everybody. And I just love them so much. I thank you so much for just being a sponsor and for supporting them. Again, they're in Valparaiso. They've got their new line of Jeeps out. Jeeps just look awesome anywhere they look in any weather. So, go pay them a visit if you're in the market for a new Jeep or perhaps a lease as well. All right, let's get to the forecast, shall we? We've got a lot to plan out. We've got your Mother's Day weekend. And obviously, we're going to share all these great numbers coming our way. We've got some real warmth next week. There's just a big ridge that's going to develop. I'll show it all to you. And the latest numbers are up a little bit higher as well. I'll share that with you as well. Those are the latest model run, the 18Z model run, which just came in a little bit ago. So we'll talk about that. All right. Hi, Shar. Thanks for joining us. Joshua's ready for some snow. We got a little while to wait on that. We're done this season. Katie, thanks for joining us. She's ready for some sunshine. Hi, Michael. We'll go from there. Let's see. Caitlin saying favorite meteorologist. We'll post that one on there. Thanks, Caitlin. You're so sweet. All right. So here's what we're dealing with tonight. Increasing clouds. We had a little sun peek out across Northwest Indiana today. The clouds are filling back in, though, out ahead of another weather system. This is what this system's going to do. We've got a rainmaker on our way. I don't see a lot of thunder with this. Next system is coming in. The low pressure is going to be a little bit further down to our south, but not by much. So we could squeak out some thunder. I don't see severe weather. I'm not crazy about the thunder risk with this, but bottom line, we're going to get some rain from this. So when does it move in? Late tomorrow, as it looks right now. If we were to cut our day in half and go, morning until 2, we should be dry. If we go 2 to midnight, that's when the rain's going to move in. Probably during the afternoon tomorrow, depending on how this wave of storms that's ongoing out towards the west. We've got severe weather in Oklahoma and Texas tonight. That severe weather is going to translate east, but it'll translate north with some rain. So we're not going to get the severe side. We're going to get some rain. So that leading edge of rain, you can see the NAM Nest model brings it in here tomorrow. Just after midday, I would say 2 o'clock, we're good. Pretty good soaking. It's just a light to moderate rain around here. All the thunder stays down towards the south, but it does look pretty rainy as we get into your afternoon and evening tomorrow. That rain continues Thursday night, becomes a little bit more scattered during the nighttime. Here's the low pressure Thursday night in areas of Missouri. We'll have storms ongoing on the leading edge of that. I think my cat's about to jump up here. I know that was like a quarantine thing. You coming up here, bud? You coming up? Come on. No, I don't think he never did that during quarantine. So, and you see a lot of the TV anchors that had their cats interact. I just had my kids all over the screen. It was great. But anyway, we'll get back to this. So low pressure Thursday night in areas of Missouri Valley, and then watch how that kind of spirals downstate. The low pressure, as of right now, looks to go right over Indianapolis. So that keeps us on the northern side here in the region. Storms would likely be from Indianapolis down towards Cincinnati, Louisville. I really don't see a big thunderstorm threat from this, but you can see how that spirals some more heavy rain in here Friday. So tomorrow, showery, just kind of a steady rain at times kind of builds in. Friday is going to be more downpour based, where we might get some heavier downpours, and then we go dry, we get some heavier downpours. Either way, both days are kind of rainy. Friday's going to get a little raw around here as well. You can see the winds on the northern end of this. Once this low pivots through, that wind's going to turn off our cold lake, so we're likely going to bring those temperatures down, much like we did a couple days ago. And then we clear this thing out. It's going to linger. This low is going to kind of sit for a little bit, so we may have some showers early Saturday. I really think most of this starts to get out of here Saturday. So Saturday, we should see improving conditions. So if you have Mother's Day plans this weekend, treating mom to, dinner, lunch, brunch, whatever it happens to be, or maybe just getting together, Saturday's the kind of iffy day, especially the earlier half. Saturday afternoon, evening looks better, but Sunday, by all means, on Mother's Day itself, looks fantastic. That's going to be the really, really good day. So let's talk about that really, really good day. I first want to show you just some rainfall totals. Here's how much rain the latest model's spitting out. You can see another inch or so, maybe a little over an inch, depending if we get some of those downpours Friday. Sharp cutoff on the northern side, but we should be firmly entrenched in the rain. Flooding concerns, not really, but we don't really need any more rain. We've had a pretty rainy month so far and a rainy end to April as well. So this is going to kind of add to that. All right, let's talk ridge beyond that. So I mentioned this weekend for Mother's Day, Saturday is going to feature some showers around, some leftovers. It'll clear out. Sunday looks great. Here's what's going on at the upper levels. Remember, last couple of Regional Weather Lives, I've highlighted the upper airflow, and that kind of dictates where storm systems go. It also dictates how warm our temperatures get. We call that the heights in the atmosphere, or how high up our temperature is able to heat up. And so this is what we're looking at. When you see the reds, we're indicating warmer air or higher heights aloft as we go up into the sky. The greens are where you have some of the cooler poles of air around, right? So here we go. As we go through time, this is the low pressure this weekend. I think you guys can see this okay. All right, yeah. So here's the low pressure this weekend. Notice how it gets cut off. It brings some cooler air with it. But watch where this goes. This thing slows down in the Ohio Valley. Then it comes to a screeching halt off the East Coast. This is now Sunday. This is on Mother's Day itself. Low pressure stalls out at the East Coast. The rain will continue out there. But as that stalls, there's a high pressure that's going to build in and bring our wind around from the south out ahead of another low pressure to the west, right? It's like a big pulley system if you put it all together. Bottom line, we're going to get scrunched between a stuck low on the East Coast, a stuck low out towards the Rocky Mountain area, and in between, that wind flow is going to be coming out of the Gulf. That's going to serve to warm us up. That is the reason for our warm up next week. But watch how this persists. This low pressure off the East Coast just sits, and watch this ridge develop. Look at this thing. This is summer-like, where we get these really warm temperatures in the eastern half of the country. We haven't seen that this spring. The low pressure is still stuck off the East Coast, so that means this pattern's stuck. It's just going to sit. There's no movement to it whatsoever. The west gets chilly, right? They'll finally chill down to get some rain. And watch how this ridge really expands on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. I think as of right now, those are going to be our two warmest days, and they have some potential in them. I'll show you numbers in a second. But what ends up happening, that same low pressure system that comes through here this weekend, the same one that's coming through tomorrow, Friday, and early Saturday, is the same low that stalls off the East Coast. And then next week at this time, 7 days from now, that low pressure starts to come west again. So it's the same exact low. That tells you nothing's moving. And watch how this kind of progresses. See how that low is coming back into the Carolinas. We're still in the heat and firmly entrenched in it here in Northwest Indiana. And then everything kind of tapers together. Perhaps this is now fantasy land. We're now day 8, where we have low pressure kind of merging with perhaps another low up in Minnesota. But bottom line, this is the same system we're going to be dealing with next Friday, next Saturday, next Sunday that we're seeing go through tomorrow. That's just insane. And then after that, we may get a little bit cooler just for a little bit, but all indication is on all the models that it's going to be a brief cool. and then we go back to some warmth around here. So I can safely say that we are done with the snow this year. You saw in that post we put out the other day about the May averages, that snowfall, we're just not going to deal with it anymore. So that's some great news to report. I've been waiting to report on that since Sunday night. But in terms of temperatures, boy, does it look impressive. So let's talk temperatures next week. I'll show you the very latest on this. And I want to get down to the details in terms of actually put numbers on it, even though we're talking, 7, 8, 9, 10 days away. All right. So we know we're cool today, right? We'll rebound a little bit as we get on into the weekend. Remember that cool air kind of comes back with that rain over the next couple days. So these are your highs on Thursday, tomorrow. And notice what a big difference clouds and rain versus sunshine this time of year make. Remember that sun angle is really high. It's very strong. It's almost as strong as it gets. June 21st is typically when, we see that peak radiational heat coming down. But notice where the rain and clouds are, we're in the 50s, and that's where we're going to stay tomorrow. You get outside of that, it's actually warmer in northern Minnesota tomorrow. They'll be up to 70 just because they have sunshine in late May or early May. So that's really what the rain and clouds do. So we're talking 50s tomorrow, and then we get on into Friday. And Friday, we're still dealing with the rain. Remember I said it gets a little raw. Still 50s. As that wind turns off the lake, it may hold some of us in the 40s. So we have to get through the next 2 days. I know it's just more of the same. It's going to be cloudy. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be kind of raw outside, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that starts to arrive Saturday. We'll start to see things improve. Notice the warmth building out towards the west. Saturday, high temperatures likely in the 60s. Will be a little bit cooler near the lake. There's not going to be a real strong wind flow, so that means that lake breeze will expand. But then on Sunday, this is your Mother's Day, looking great. We're talking near 70, likely some sunshine, and then watch this heat. Remember how that heat builds right over us? This is a GFS model, all right? I'll show you another model in a second, but this is Monday. It's saying highs near 80 degrees, could be low 80s. And watch Tuesday, Wednesday, the 2 hot days. Tuesday, the GFS has us up near 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 89, 84, 82, 89, 89, 89. That's quite a bit. So I think it's a little hot, to be honest. It's got hundreds in the plains. I think it's a little too early to buy that. It's not saying 90's uncommon in areas of the plains, or 100 is, but it really kind of is this time of year. Wednesday, 80s, 90s are common on the GFS. I mean, that's some heat, folks. It says 91 in Rensselaer, 93 over in Kankakee County. This is the GFS America model. And then watch how it kind of backs down a little bit as we bring that low back in, likely bring some clouds in. It'll push that heat out towards the west, and then it'll kind of taper it down. But we're still staying mild all the way through next week, okay? And next weekend as it looks right now. Final thing I want to show you, then we'll open it up to questions. If we take all of those models together and we blend them, it's something called the National Blend of Models. So it takes the major models. It doesn't do equal weight on all of them. It does what's performing best, and it blends all those numbers together. These are more realistic numbers for next week. Maybe a little bit higher than this, but I really don't think 90 degrees is going to be here next week. Who knows, though? I've seen stranger things in the movie, too, or the series. But anyways, we go through time. Notice the 60s next couple days, and then we get, I'm going to do a full screen so you can see this a little bit better. And you can see, 68's the average of the models on Sunday. Very nice weather. And then it settles into low to maybe even mid-80s next week. I would buy that, and that's probably where I would go with my 7-day forecast in terms of all that. So just so you know, that's what we're dealing with next week is some warmth. And I'm telling you, it is going to impress next week. And the thing that's most impressive about it is that it's going to stick around. It doesn't look like we have 1 or 2 days, which we've had this year. We've had maybe 1 day of warmth and then it gets cold. This is going to be a prolonged period of really nice weather around here. I see the question, Papo asking about humidity. Great question. So here it is for you. This is the chart of the temperatures, which are in red. They spike every day. But here's the humidity in the green. And when we measure humidity, we measure it with something called dew point. All right. You'll hear dew point, you'll hear humidity all the time. Humidity is basically how full is your glass, right? So if it's 100% humidity, the glass is full, the air can't hold any more moisture, and you likely have fog, right? That doesn't tell me if it feels sticky or not. You can have fog when it's cold and you're not sweating, Dew point is the true number that you want to follow in terms of how it feels outside. Is it muggy? Does it feel humid or not? Dew point is the number you want to follow. When the dew point hits 50 degrees, that's when you can start to feel the air. It feels spring-like. You can kind of smell it a little bit, if that makes sense. When we get up near 60 degrees, that's when you start to deal with some humidity. So if you go for a walk or a run and the dew point 60 or higher, that's when you'll start to sweat a little bit. 70 is the uncomfortable dew point that we get in the summertime a lot out ahead of storm systems. 80 is pretty much unheard of around here. Out in the Corn Belt, once the corn crop is in Iowa and it's really growing, there's something called evapotranspiration where the corn, all the corn out in the plain states, basically sweats and it puts moisture in the atmosphere. So sometimes when you go out to Iowa in the middle of summer, they'll have dew points near 80 degrees and they'll have more humid air than Florida in terms of that. It'll feel hotter and more humid in Iowa than in Florida because of the corn crop. But we don't have a lot of foliage quite yet on some of the bigger trees. So that dew point can't get quite as high this time of year. But it's interesting. We are up in the 60s next week in terms of dew point. So we are dealing with a little bit of humidity around. Nothing crazy, but certainly some. Okay. So hopefully that helps in terms of that. Maxwell, yeah, go ahead, buddy. Normally I err on the side of caution, but I think you can get, it depends on what you're planting. If you're thinking garden, like putting tomatoes in the ground and stuff like that, if you haven't started them inside, which a lot of people like to do, you should be okay getting it out. What I usually say is Mother's Day and after. So, we're getting into Mother's Day this weekend. You're usually safe after this. We may have another cold frost or two. Sometimes we do. I put out the averages a couple weeks ago. Freezes, we're usually done with by now. So, freeze is the thing that really damages things. Frost, as long as you cover stuff up and you're fine. So I would say go ahead. I would give you that advice that things really do look like they've turned a corner, and it looks like they've turned the corner for good. I don't see any cold spells. There's that little one we need to watch around May 20th or so. But again, that's showing up in the models now. It may not tomorrow. Let's see. Caitlin says, I coach my daughter's softball team. We have games at 6 on Thursday and Friday. I'm probably going to need to cancel due to rain. Caitlin, I think so. I'd never want to make decisions for coaches or anyone having to cancel stuff. But I really do think so. I think we're going to have enough rain around here both of those days. It's just going to be showery. I don't see any, there might be some dry periods of time where you get an hour or two of dry, but boy, I don't see it lasting long enough to be, something we can count on. So I would say Thursday, yeah. And then Friday, we'll have to see where those downpours develop. They'll be more scattered on Friday, but the downpours, I think, will be heavier on Friday if they do come through. So both days would probably be good days. Thursday, I would lean yes. Friday, I would lean let's wait and see what the radar looks like for sure. Yeah, Maxwell, it's interesting. It looks mainly dry next week. The one thing we'll have to watch is we've got the system coming back at us from the east. That's a little bit later in the week. But yeah, there's going to be some thunderstorms, almost like ridge riders, which we have in the summertime, which form on that dome of heat, and they kind of ride that. They're not quite the same, though, but there's going to be that frontal boundary out towards the west that's going to spark clusters of storms, likely forming on the low-level jet that forms late in the evening out in the plains. We'll have to keep an eye on those because sometimes the models don't really pick up on it this far out. They kind of are just messy, and they don't have details in terms of like where exactly they go or who's in line for them. So it's going to be something to watch. As of right now, it looks like we should be okay. But as we get later in the week and that ridge starts to kind of die out a little bit, it'll be something we need to watch. So good question. All right, let me see if I missed anything else. Debbie asks, where can I find the link for the Region Weather store? So it's shopregionweather.com. We actually bought a domain. How exciting is that? Shopregionweather.com, and that will get you the Region Weather store. And Debbie, I don't know if you're the one that's asked before, but I'll tell you what, we have a new line of stuff getting ready to launch on there. And I continue to just be blown away by the support on there. So we have Region Weather t-shirts, sweatshirts, Great Lake stuff on there. Keychains, phone covers, all that good stuff. But it's shopregionweather.com is the name for that for sure. So thank you for that. I think that's it. We'll get you on to your Wednesday night. I really appreciate you guys joining us. I sure hope this helps. The whole point of these, if you're new to these, is to explain what's going to happen in the weather, but more importantly, explain why your phone app says what it says and what's going to change and what you need to know weather-wise in terms of why it's happening or what we're seeing on the map that translates to that. So it's a little bit more upper level than just looking at your phone app and saying, it said dry yesterday and now it says rain. So I certainly appreciate that. Tim, I agree with you, buddy. He says this spring has been interesting. It really has. I feel like we've just been on the cooler side of things the last couple springs. I feel like this dates back a little while. We get these warm shots, but it's just been kind of rotten. We really haven't had a true spring around here. So that we're going to jump right into summer as it looks right now. And boy, haven't we done that before. Maxwell's growing watermelons, corn, and pumpkins. Awesome, Maxwell. Well, I wish you the best crop this year for sure. Jan, thanks so much for watching us on our YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Mary, you have a good evening as well. All right, everybody, we'll wrap it up. Have a great end of your week. I know the weather is going to be kind of crummy, but make it your own. Try to stay positive through this and keep your eye on the prize, which is the Mother's Day weekend and all the fun that comes with that. And the weather beyond that's going to be great. All right, you guys enjoy your Wednesday night. We'll